After studying the contributions of various fields of behavioral sciences towards organizational behavior, the students may be able to analyze the role of psychology and social psychology in predicting the individual behavior and its impacts on improving individual and organizational performance. Apply sociological concepts in understanding the group dynamics and its functioning and its effect on organizational effectiveness. Interpret the organizational culture from anthropological perspectives and apply its methodology to understand the formation of organizational culture and its development. Understand the contributions of political science to study the dynamics of power bases, formation of conflicts, and conflict resolution strategies, etc. Understand the design of organizational structure by using the concepts of economics and apply medicinal concepts for the well-being of individual and organization. Organization behavior (OB) refers to the study of human behavior in organizational settings. Since organization influences an individual and is influenced by the individual, one cannot study individual behavior in isolation. Thus, Stephen P. Robbins defines OB is a field of study that investigates the impact that individuals, groups, and structures have on behavior within an organization and then applies that knowledge for organizational betterment. People do not work in isolation. When they join an organization, they come in contact with other people and the organization. When come in contact with managers, colleagues, organizational policies, formal structure, with their prior experience, values, culture, etc., they change. The organization is also affected by their presence and eventual absence of the individual. Thus, the study of organizational behavior must consider the ways in which the individual and the organization interact. Organizational behavior is an applied behavioral science that is built upon contributions from a number of behavioral disciplines. The predominant areas are psychology, sociology, social psychology, anthropology, and political science. Although each of these disciplines is concerned with human behavior and nature, there are little commonly accepted theories among them. The behavioral scientists are in the process of continuous research to improve the predictability of behavior. Because people and environment do change, their work focuses on attempting to predict how most people are likely to behave in a given set of circumstances and conditions. Each discipline applies its own methodology to the prediction problem, and each provides managers with insight into such important areas as individual differences, cultural influences, motivation, and organizational design. Contributing disciplines to organizational behavior. Psychology. Psychology is a science of individual behavior. The term psychology is derived from the Greek word psyche, which means soul or spirit. It has perhaps the most influence on the field of organizational behavior. Almost all aspects of behavior are studied by psychologists. Psychologists are predicting the behavior of individuals to great extent by observing the interrelationship of personal environmental and situational factors. Those who have contributed and continue to add to the knowledge of OB are learning theorists, personality theorists, counseling psychologists, and most important, industrial and organizational psychologists. Some of the numerous areas of interest within the disciplines of the psychology are general psychology, industrial psychology, experimental psychology, clinical psychology, consumer psychology, personality psychology, counseling psychology, educational psychology. Understanding psychological principles helps significantly in gaining the knowledge of determinants of individual behavior. The major areas researched to understand the determinants of behavior are attitude, motivation, learning, training process, leadership effectiveness, job satisfaction, emotions, individual decision making, performance appraisal, attitude management, employee selection, job design, and work stress. Studies of these areas can improve personal skills, bring change in attitude, and develop positive approach to organizational systems. If one wants to improve the behavior of an individual or group, we have to look into psychological needs of an individual and group. So, the knowledge of psychology can really help in improving and modifying the behavior of individual and group. If the psychological needs are fulfilled, it gives satisfaction to people and also give peace of mind, which can improve the ability of an organization. Various psychological tests are conducted in the organizations for selection of employees, measuring personality attributes and aptitude. Various other dimensions of human personality are also measured. These instruments are scientific in nature and have been finalized after a great deal of research. One of the most important attributes of psychology is the emphasis on the scientific study of behavior. Psychologists attempt to understand behavior on the basis of rational, demonstrable cause-effect relationships. Although learning and motivation are the main focus of psychology, the immediate application to the field of organization behavior are widespread. Basic knowledge of human behavior is important in work design, leadership, organizational design, communication, decision making, performance appraisal systems, and reward programs. These issues are falling within the domain of organizational behavior. Sociology. Sociology is the study of social behavior, relationships among social groups and societies, and the maintenance of social order. The major focus of sociologists is on studying the social systems in which individuals fill their roles. The focus of attention is centered on group dynamics. They have made their greatest contribution to OB through their study of group behavior in organization, particularly formal and complex organizations. Sociological concepts, theories, models, and techniques help significantly to study group behavior in organizations, group dynamics, design of work teams, organizational culture, formal organizational theory and structure, organizational technology, communications, power, and conflict. This helps us to appreciate the functioning of individuals within the organization, which is essentially a socio-technical entity. Sociology deals with human interaction, and this interaction is the key influencing factor among people in social settings. Study of plural behavior. Two or more interacting persons constitute a plurality pattern of behavior. The systematic study of social systems. A social system is an operational social unit that is structured to serve a purpose. Thus, sociologists viewed organizations as consists of a variety of people with different roles, status and degree of authority. Social psychology. Social psychology is the study of human behavior in the context of social situations. This essentially addresses the problem of understanding the typical behavioral patterns to be expected from an individual when he takes part in a group. It blends concepts from psychology and sociology and then focuses on the influence of people on one another. What makes social psychology social is that deals with how people are affected by other people who are actually physically present or who are imagined to be present or even whose presence is implied. In general, sociology focuses on how groups, organizations, social categories and societies are organized, how they function, how they change. The unit of analysis is the group as a whole rather than the individuals who compose the group. Social psychology deals with many of the same phenomena but seeks to explain whole individual human interaction and human cognition influences culture and is influenced by culture. The unit of analysis is the individual within the group. In reality, some forms of sociology are closely related to social psychology. Social psychologists study an enormous range of topics including conformity, persuasion, power, influence, obedience, prejudice, intergroup behavior, discrimination, stereotyping, sexism and racism, small groups, social categories, crowd behavior, social conflict, social change, decision making, etc. Among them, the most important topics relevant to organizational behavioral field are behavioral change, attitude change, communication, group process, and group decision making. It basically concerns with how to implement something and how to reduce barriers to its acceptance. Anthropology. Anthropology is the study of societies to learn about human beings and their activities. It is concerned with the interactions between people and their environments, especially their cultural environment. Culture is a major influence on the structure of organizations as well as on the behavior of people within organizations. The manner in which people view their environment is a part of culture. Culture includes those ideas shared by groups of individuals and languages by which these ideas are communicated. In essence, culture is a system of learned behavior. The study on culture and environment helps us to understand differences in fundamental values, attitudes, and behavior between people in different countries and within different organizations. The world is the laboratory of anthropologists. The human beings must be studied in the natural habitat. Understanding the importance of studying man in natural settings over time enables one to grasp the range of anthropology. Anthropologists contribute to study the following aspects in organizational settings: comparative values, comparative attitudes, cross-cultural analysis between or among the employees. Political science. Contribution of political scientists are significant to the understanding of behavior in organizations. Political scientists study the behavior of individuals and groups within a political environment. They contribute to understand the dynamics of power centers, the structuring of conflict, and conflict resolution techniques, allocation of power, and how people manipulate power for individual self-interest. In a business field, theme of interest to political scientists include how and why people acquire power, political behavior, decision making, conflict, the behavior of interest groups, and coalition formation. The knowledge of political science can be utilized to the study of behavior of employees, executives at micro as well as macro level. Economics. Economics study the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Economics contributes organized behavior to great extent in designing the organizational structure. Economics influence the organization and its structure. Transaction cost economics implies cost components to make an exchange on the market. This transaction cost economics examines the extent to which the organization structure and size of an organization varies in response to attempts to avoid market failures through minimizing production and transaction costs within the constraints of human and environmental factors. Economic pressures determine the suitable structure either through markets, hybrid network structures, or hierarchy to organize transactions effectively. Failure to organize in the appropriate way will lead to the firm being deselected by the market. As environment is so dynamic, organizations must respond to change in structure. Shifts from large firm hierarchies to networks or to market relations are in terms of changing conditions of the economizing functions. Students of organizational behavior share the economist's interest in areas such as labor market dynamics, productivity, human resource planning and forecasting, and cost-benefit analysis. Medicine. Medicine is the applied science of healing or treatment of disease to enhance an individual's health and well-being. It has come into play in connection with the study of human behavior at work, specifically in the study of stress. Individual behavior and lifestyle patterns play a more important role in treating chronic diseases than in treating acute diseases. These trends have contributed to the growth of wellness programs in the context of corporate medicine. These programs have led to the increasing attention to medicine in organizational behavior. Increasingly, research is showing that controlling the causes and consequences of stress is and out of organizational settings is important for the well-being of the individuals as well as the organization. Let us summarize. The behavioral science have a significant impact on the field of organizational behavior. Contemporary organizational behavior has an interdisciplinary focus. It draws a reference from other fields and attempts to describe behavior. Behavioral science provides a systematic base of theories and theory building to explain behavior and gives an empirical support to study individuals, group, and organization. It creates an effort to communicate theories, research, and ideas to practicing managers as well as members of the field.